On the heels of his new book entitled Financially Irresponsible, author Rakeem Sabri says that closing the financial literacy gap can be done with the establishment of a team. Each one, teach one, he says. Each one, reach one. If you know, teach. If you don't know, learn. Pastor Mark Burns, Rakeem Sabri recently did a TEDx in Hartford. He captured Hartford's audience's full attention. I know that you have given some insight on finances. Give us some dialogue on this.
Well, first of all, Nietzsche, it's always good to be here, and I'm just excited to see, stories of Mr. Rakeem Sabri, stories like his, of people who came from Section 8. I mean, this brother lived in Section 8, and for those who are watching who don't know what Section 8 is, because I most definitely personally know what Section 8 housing is. It's government housing, okay? It's the projects for those who are living in, who are low income families, and the government is assisting in living or affordable housing. Section 8 is a big help to a lot of people. And so I know what it's like to live in Section 8, and this brother Rakeem lived in Section 8, but he lived in Section 8 and determined that he didn't belong in Section 8. And so this is what's so important. I'm happy that Onyx News is doing the story, is because we're telling the world, especially those in the African American community, that even though we might be low income, and many of us are low income, that we don't have to stay low income. I mean, just because affordable housing, low income don't mean low lifestyle. And this brother has went from Section 8 housing to now owning multiple housing. Rakeem, not only, to owning multiple housing, he took his credit score, which was a below a 400, and now he has an 800 plus credit score. These are accomplishments that we need to be talking about on a consistent daily basis about financial literacy. Because remember, Nietzsche, the black dollar stays in, the U.S. dollar stays in the Jewish communities for over for over several weeks. The dollar stays within the white community for for several days, but the black dollar stays in the black community for about 6 hours. Okay, about 6 hours. So there's a huge financial gap within our community, and Rakeem Sabri is teaching financial literacy, and I'm just super excited to see what he's doing to help inspire other African Americans from going from Section 8 housing, government housing, to owning multiple housing. Nietzsche.
Yeah, I love this story because, we always hear about the paycheck to paycheck, week to week,
Hmm.
and financial literacy is definitely the way out of that space. I think you've shared testimony of being a person who has been lived in Section 8 housing yourself. So, how did you pull out of that?
Well, Nietzsche, I absolutely lived in Section housing, as I just said. I Section 8 housing. I had to get to a place in my mind where I realized that I was the biggest problem and the biggest holdup in my life. I used to blame so many people for my own failures, for my own mistakes, and I realized that I was the biggest holdup. I was the biggest problem in my own life, some of the decisions that I was making. And so once I discovered the poor decisions that I was making, I was able to change those decisions, and I was able to start making different decisions that could create wealth and got me out of Section 8 housing to Mr. Sabri, owning my own house. And so if people like me and Rakeem can do it, then any African American, any person of color that's watching this broadcast, you can do it too. You do not have to accept what the government is giving you. There's much, much more for us as a people in this nation.
Pastor Mark Burns, always a great conversation with you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Happy to be with you.